Throughout history, the vast, untamed oceans have borne witness to spectacles of awe-inspiring power and fury. Some of these battles didn't just determine the outcome of wars, they changed history itself. From the sun-drenched waters of the Mediterranean to the storm-tossed waves of the Pacific, join us now as we journey back in time to witness the top 5 greatest naval battles of all time. Let's begin. The year is 1571. The Ottoman Empire, a force seemingly as unstoppable as the tides themselves, held sway over much of the Mediterranean. Their mighty galleys, propelled by the sweat of thousands of oarsmen, cast a long shadow over the Christian powers of Europe. But Europe was not ready to yield. Near the Gulf of Patras, a clash of civilizations was brewing. The Holy League, a coalition led by Spain, Venice, and the papacy, assembled a fleet to challenge Ottoman dominance. What followed was a clash of titans, a maelstrom of fire, steel, and human desperation. Imagine, if you will, the deafening roar of cannons, the splintering of wood, the cries of men fighting for their lives amidst a sea stained crimson with blood. Over 400 ships, a vast armada of wood and sail, locked in a struggle for supremacy. The Battle of Lepanto, as it came to be known, was a brutal, bloody affair. But as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the water, the tide of battle turned. The Ottomans, despite their initial ferocity, were outmaneuvered and outgunned. Lepanto marked a turning point in the struggle for control of the Mediterranean. The Napoleonic Wars, a time when Europe trembled beneath the tread of Napoleon Bonaparte's armies. Yet even as the emperor's legions seemed invincible on land, one power stood defiant at sea: Great Britain. In 1805, off the southwestern coast of Spain, 2 massive fleets converged, the combined might of France and Spain against the stalwart ships of the Royal Navy. Leading the British fleet was Admiral Horatio Nelson, a legend in his own time, known for his tactical brilliance and unwavering courage. Nelson, facing a numerically superior enemy, knew that victory would require a bold, even unorthodox approach, and bold it was. Nelson, breaking with traditional naval tactics, split his fleet into 2 columns and sailed directly into the enemy line, aiming to break their formation and engage them at close range. The Battle of Trafalgar was a chaotic, close-quarters fight. Amidst the carnage, Nelson himself was struck by a French musket ball. Yet, even as he lay dying, Nelson's plan unfolded with devastating precision. The Franco-Spanish fleet, caught off guard and outmaneuvered, was utterly crushed. Trafalgar secured British naval dominance for a century to come. Chapter 3. Midway the tide turns in the Pacific, the Second World War, a global conflict that engulfed the world in flames, and in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, a new kind of naval warfare was being waged, a battle for air supremacy. The year is 1942. Japan, emboldened by its early victories, seemed unstoppable in the Pacific. But the Americans, though reeling from the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor, were determined to strike back. In the depths of the Pacific, near the tiny atoll of Midway, a clash of titans was brewing. Thanks to a remarkable feat of code-breaking, the U.S. Navy had deciphered Japanese communications and learned of their plans to capture Midway Island. Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, commander of the Pacific Fleet, knew this was their chance to strike a decisive blow against the seemingly invincible Japanese Navy. He positioned his limited forces, including 3 aircraft carriers, to ambush the approaching Japanese fleet. The Battle of Midway was a battle fought not with battleships and broadsides, but with aircraft carriers and dive bombers. American planes, launched from their carriers, caught the Japanese fleet unprepared, their decks crowded with aircraft being refueled and rearmed. In a matter of hours, the tide of the Pacific War turned. Midway, a decisive victory for the Allies, marked a turning point in the Pacific War. Chapter 4. Jutland the Grey Behemoths Clash, the First World War, a conflict that ravaged Europe, leaving millions dead in its wake. And amidst the trenches and mud, a different kind of battle unfolded, a clash of titans on the North Sea. The year is 1916. Great Britain, mistress of the waves for centuries, faced a new challenger, the burgeoning German high seas fleet. Both nations possessed mighty fleets of dreadnoughts, massive battleships armed with the most powerful guns ever seen at sea. Off the coast of Denmark, near the Jutland Peninsula, these steel behemoths would meet in a battle that would test the limits of naval warfare. The Battle of Jutland was a clash of unprecedented scale and ferocity, For hours the battle raged, ships on both sides were sunk, thousands of men perished beneath the waves. The German fleet, though inflicting heavy losses, was forced to retreat. Chapter 5. Salamis, Dawn of Western Civilization. Our journey takes us back now, far back in time, to the birthplace of democracy, to the shores of ancient Greece. Here, in 480 BC, a battle took place that would shape the course of Western civilization. Imagine a world where the mighty Persian Empire led by the Emperor Xerxes stood poised to conquer the fledgling Greek city-states. The Persians, with their vast army and navy, seemed invincible. Yet, the Greeks, fierce in their love of freedom, refused to yield. In the narrow straits of Salamis, a narrow channel of water near Athens, the Greek fleet, led by the Athenian general Themistocles, prepared to make their stand. The Persians, confident in their superior numbers, sailed into the straits, seeking to crush the Greek fleet. But Themistocles, a cunning strategist, had anticipated their movements. The Greeks, in their smaller, more maneuverable triremes, lured the larger Persian ships into the narrow channel, trapping them in a deadly bottleneck. The Battle of Salamis was a resounding victory for the Greeks. The Persian fleet was decimated, their hopes of conquering Greece shattered. Chapter 6. Echoes of the Deep. And so we conclude our voyage through history, having witnessed the thunderous clash of empires, the brilliance of naval strategists, and the sacrifices of countless brave souls. These were just a few of the many naval battles that have shaped the course of history. Which of these epic battles do you think was the most impactful? Are there other naval encounters that you believe deserve a place in the annals of history? We invite you to share your thoughts and continue the conversation in the comments below.